Welcome along to Betting Weekly Premier League Show. You're with myself, Dan Roebuck, alongside me, as per usual, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Nigel, you are still out in Riga after the England game. How has your visit been?
Bit long, I must admit. Good morning to you, mate. Very early morning to you. Thanks very much for getting me up on my last day today. I was trying everything I possibly could to put this back, but obviously Dan has under 12 women soccer matches from Tanzania to record. Jack has to go up to London. There's one train every 4 hours from where he lives in the outskirts of Norfolk, and I'm the one who's got in at 3 o'clock in the morning who's had to get up here. But no,
hey, that's self-inflicted. That's on you, Nigel. You want to take these trips on.
My wife said to me, "Why aren't you coming home?" Yesterday, I said, "Well, the day after, whenever England play or whatever sporting event you go to, when the sports fee is £350 for a flight, the next day is £39 for a flight. So you look after the pennies, the pounds will look after themselves."
I love that.
And also, we had a good time as well.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah. Kick it on for another day, boys. Don't worry about it. We'll get back somehow. Jack, you had a round trip of Norfolk and Essex, didn't you, earlier this week? We were on the live show. Any further trips since then? Or are you just on the taco for your train?
Well, that's right. I know. Yeah, it's trains, planes, and automobiles this week. So, yeah, it's all good. So, greetings to you both. Greetings to everyone. And that's all I've got to say. I've got no exciting stories of my time in Riga. Yeah. So let's crack on.
Profit and loss. Profit and loss on the screen from the boys. There's a little bit more L than P. We know that. Look, we got 30 weeks to turn this around. I am confident that Nigel and Jack are going to do just that, kicking off this weekend. And there is a lot of value on this weekend's card. We've just got to find it. We're going to start with Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea, which is the early game on Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Chelsea are minus money here. Jack, look, Big Angie's played 7, 1-0 so far. If you bet against his teams so far after he's taken the Forest job, you're plus 13 points profit in front. Should we just bet Chelsea here? What's your thoughts for the early game?
We should have known that at the start, really, shouldn't we? That'd have been a way in. Yeah, look, Angie's hanging on, isn't he? I'm assuming he didn't answer any phone calls. His out of office was on his email, and he's still in office currently at the moment. But will a defeat here push him over the edge? Possibly so. I'd expect Chelsea to win this one, but I've gone over 2.5 goals, 2-unit play straight in on this one on the early kickoff, purely because of Ange Ball and the fact that we talked about it at the start of this process. Really, that it's just a complete seismic change from Nuno to Ange, and it's shown on the pitch, hasn't it, with the results? As you say, no win in 7 competitive games under him, losing 5 of them, but they've conceded 15 goals in that period of time as well, so well over 2 goals per game. That's an incredible stat, and that does include games against such powerhouses as Swansea, Burnley and Sunderland. No disrespect to those clubs, of course, but it's a tough watch for them, and obviously the fans are turned already, averaging 3.14 goals per game in those games as well, and over 2.5 goals has cashed in 4 of them. So, and you look at Chelsea, goals have been following them around as well. Over 2.5 goals cashed in 5 of their 7 league games so far this season, including all 3 road trips as well. 13 goals in those road games at 4.33. So, look, a few issues with their main men, but what they have shown is they've been finding goals around the team. So the doubts about Cole Palmer not playing, obviously the injuries to Lap and Jackson going. Sado stepped up. Enzo Fernandez has stepped up. They're getting goals from defensive areas as well. And they've still got wide and attacking players that can come in and score goals. And I think João Pedro not being on international duty, having a couple of weeks, is quite a big factor in this one. I think he kind of looked a bit stale over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Expect him to be a bit fresher for this one. And we know Forest do still carry that threat in those forward areas. And the key element for me is that the injuries for both these sides are in defensive areas. So there is the players on the pitch to exploit the attacking areas, and also Forest's weakness from defending set pieces. And only Arsenal have taken more set piece corners than Chelsea. So I think they can cause a threat from that area as well. So that all kind of points towards me, this being a goals game at minus 134 is my 2-unit play.
We're expecting goals. Are we expecting Ange to last, though, Nigel? I mean, he's bang under pressure. I mean, he's massive minus money to be the next coach to go. It's incredible, really. He's come in, team in European football. The fans seemingly against him already. Could he go if Forest get beat heavily here? What's your thoughts and what's your thoughts on the game from a pick point of view? You betting goals along with Jack?
I agree with Jack completely. I think over 2.5 goals is the bet here. Minus 134. I'd even go even higher, go over 3 on the Asian line as well. I mean, the trouble with Ange Postecoglou is he seems to be a little bit like in denial. It seems to be like everybody else's fault about why they're losing, and everything about him is like his body language isn't someone that shows any sincerity. It's like someone who's just thinking, "Well, it's not my fault, mate. It's someone else's fault." And he's not going to have any love lost with him. He's obviously with an owner who's not going to give him much time, and he's got a team in Chelsea that he's played 4 times previously when he was at Tottenham and lost every single match. So it's not looking good for him. So I don't know what price he is to lose his job, but Chelsea are minus 105 to win this match. And I think if you're looking at Ange Postecoglou as the next manager to go, Chelsea win this match, he's going to go. So I think Chelsea win at minus 105. I think there's a decent price. Obviously, you have to think about Chelsea playing in the Champions League, which is a worry as well. I always think to myself about Champions League fixtures. They've got Ajax at home, but I always take that into account when they're away, have to travel a little bit. Still without Cole Palmer, which is a blow for them. João Pedro, as Jack said, not travelling, massive plus for them. But everything's negative for Nottingham Forest. I like Chelsea. I like over 2.5 goals. Both teams to score, yes. I'm looking at a 3-1, 2-1 Chelsea win. But I think Ange Postecoglou will not be Nottingham Forest manager when we do this show next week.
Yeah, it's incredible, really, but I don't think there's going to be too many people who are going to disagree with you, for sure. Let's get to Sunderland against Wolves here, because this is a really interesting game. This is 3 p.m. local, it's 10 a.m. Eastern, and Sunderland here are plus 148. They are favourites in a Premier League game for the first time since March 2017. Admittedly, they've been a Championship side for a long time in that period. But they've started well. I've backed them on the handicap. I'm happy to see them go well, but you just sense that maybe, Jack, here, the bookmakers might have got this one wrong, and there's a bit too much respect for Sunderland, and not enough for Wolves to have put together a good couple of draws heading into this one.
Yeah, this is it. I've taken Wolves here, plus handicap, plus quarter of a goal start, minus 134 as a lean for this, and I think Wolves have shown enough improvement over the last couple of weeks, as you then mentioned there, but to get my support here, to get my vote on the handicap. Obviously, they avoid defeat. We bank some profit, given that they've got their quarter goal start. So that defeat at Leeds, it looked worrying times. You thought, is the manager going to go? Are they just going to kind of sink without trace? They didn't seem to any hope. But tell you what, that sometimes a cup performance, a cup game, it was against Everton, and it's kind of turned, well, certainly at this moment in time, their season around. It's a bit of an overstatement possibly, but they certainly gained momentum from that. And then they've gone and got a couple of unbeaten performances in the league after that. And generally speaking, let's be honest, they were unlucky to not win both those games. That was the last kick against Spurs, and I thought they defended really well against Spurs. They kept Spurs at arm's length, and there's a lot of talent in that Spurs side going forward, more than you'd suggest for Sunderland, certainly. And it was only that late goal from Polina that kind of took the 3 points away for them. They had to set up a point, and then they're in front until the last 5 or 6 minutes against Brighton as well. Again, one of the better sides in the league. So I think the odds are a little bit skewed here. I think it helps them. They've got Sam Johnson in goal. He seems to be a bit more of a calm and influence, and that's helped them defensively. They've got the threat in Larson. They've kept hold of him after the window, kept him. That's a threat in a forward area. They've got good energy, good power in the middle of the park as well. So I think they can compete with Sunderland in this also. And yeah, Sunderland have started well, but you look at the results. After that 3-0 win against West Ham, they were beaten by Burnley, newly promoted side. Very fortunate to get that win against Brentford. Ties with Palace and Villa were good, but ultimately they tied both matches. So the plus handicap would win in that respect. A decent win, but that was against Forest, who we've already talked about are struggling. And then the defeat to Man United, which probably should have been by a wider margin than what it was. So it's a little bit kind of papering over the cracks to a certain degree. And when you look at the expected points table, which I know you're a fan of, as is Nigel, the 16th in the table, Wolves, and obviously a lot better than their actual position suggests. Sunderland are only one place above them. So on that basis, you would suggest that these two sides are a lot closer than these odds suggest, and therefore I'm going to take the edge on Wolves.
Yeah, I wouldn't make Sunderland favourites here. Maybe the market has overreacted to the points that they've got on the board. I'm not saying they haven't done well, Nigel. Fair play to Lebris, who's done terrifically this season, of course, but I think there's too much of an overreaction here, and Wolves look a little bit of value. You've got your hot dog play here.
Yeah, no surprise. I'm going to go with Wolves here at plus 205. I totally agree with you guys there on that aspect. I mean, I always think that we might have a little bit of overreaction in the first dozen or so matches, and I think Wolves are exactly that kind of. I mean, I'm quite negative, but I said to them in August and September, Wolves are pretty poor, but in obviously different months, I quite like them. But I think plus 205 is the wrong price here. Really do. If you look at Sunderland this season, in their 3 home games, not one goal scored in the first hour of play. Not one goal. But every one of their home matches has seen over 2.5 goals cash. So if you're betting under 2.5 goals, you're betting over 2.5 goals. Sunderland are the in-play team here. I just think Wolves improvements 1-1 against Tottenham was a good result. They were bet that day. They should have won that day. Obviously, it cost me on that day. Brighton played well against a decent Brighton side. After the international break, a little bit of time going there, Sunderland overachieving. If this was the first game of the season, what price would you be, Wolves? I think Wolves
you'd be closer to even money. If
no,
not minus money.
I don't think you'd be minus money. I think Wolves would be about plus 125, so at the first day of the season. But to be 205, to me, seems a big overreaction. Sunderland's great at home, but I think the crowd will be lifted when they're playing those big teams at home at the stadium. Like Wolves, when they're expected to win, I think this time there could be a potential banana skin from. So Wolves for me, plus 205 is my hot dog this week.
Hot dog. Be interesting to see what sort of price that will be come kickoff. Let's get to Burnley Leeds, shall we? Another 10 a.m. kickoff on Saturday. Leeds plus 128, Burnley plus 220 here. They met in the Championship, obviously, last season. The last game was at Turf Moor between the two. Pretty much the same prices, Jack, when these two met. It was a 0-0 draw then, but the squads look very different. I was looking at expected lineups. Maybe 5 starters for Burnley from that same game. Maybe just 4 for Leeds. Jadon Anthony for Burnley is a little bit of a doubt as well, I think. What's your angle in for Burnley Leeds, Jack?
Well, I watched that game you were talking about, and both sides were lucky to get nil. It was absolutely a terrible, terrible affair for two sides that were going to gun in for 100 points in the Championship last season. It was not a good advert, but I think a similar outcome here. I think unders is a way forward, but it's a bit of a premium price to pay on that one. Under 2.5 goals, so you might have to lower that line if you fancy that. I've gone for the fact that I think it will be tight and it will be cagey. So my lean in this one is a half-time tie for basically those reasons. I think it will be tight. I think it'll be cagey. I think this one is the old traditional 6-pointer. Leeds have got that little buffer at the moment, 4 points to Burnley, a direct rival for relegation. They want to keep them at arm's length, keep them behind. So a tie for them here over 90 minutes would work away from home, certainly. I think Daniel Farke is very much aware of that. So I think he'll put that in there. What I like about what Leeds have done with their business this summer, the window just gone, is they've recruited tall, strong, powerful, defensive-minded players, both in the back line and also in that middle of the park. And I think that's what's keeping them nice and structured, nice and tight. Yes, they've had a couple of heavy defeats, but that's against like the elite sides in the league. And when they're up against more of the same, I think they can go to battle. Burnley have had some really tough fixtures, so they'll earmark this as one that they can start the points moving again. But they have been very competitive at home. You look at the results there. They beat Sunderland, that other newly promoted side, 2-0. Very unlucky, although it was a back-to-the-wall effort against Liverpool to lose 1-0. And then the 1-1 tie with Nottingham Forest. All 3 of those games were level at half-time. So I've gone down that route again. And when you look at Leeds, 5 of their 7 games across the season so far have been level at half-time. As you said, last season ended 0-0. It was very 0-0. So obviously that was level at half-time as well. I do fancy unders. So the under 2.5 goals is a bit short for me. So I've gone down another route, and that is for it to be level at half-time.
Can we squeeze a bet out of the under somehow, though, Nigel, for this one? 0-0 in this game last year, as Jack was pointing out, or do we see goals? You've got your 2U play here.
Well, if anyone can squeeze a bet out of unders, it's me. I am the champion squeezer of under 2.5 goals here. I think the best line, I'm going to go under 2.25 goals. Then we get minus 117 there. Now, I think this game's, I'm over in Latvia, and we talk about the nil-nil detector not coming through passport control, and obviously here. But I think if you've got the new version of the nil-nil detector, the old 17.3 version, this one will be flagging away. I love this. Only 1 goal in the 2 matches between the two sides last season. I think both of them will set them idea thinking we just do not lose this match. Obviously, Leeds got off to a good start, and then they're sort of now slipping it away a little bit. Burnley had that really disappointing result against Liverpool where they defended for their life. They could show a little bit more in this match, but I do believe that Scott Parker will look at this and think, okay, if we can nick a 1-0, even though we're at home, it's great for us. These are the kind of matches we'll play against. I think it'll be a feisty affair. I think there could be a few bookings in this match as well. But I'm looking here definitely at the unders. I just think the way these two sides are playing, the way these managers set up, I think this has got the look of a 1-0 either way. You could either go down to 2 goals, get 2 goals as a push. If you're braver, I'd go 1.5 goals. But for me, under 2.25 goals at almost even money, minus 117. That's my 2U pick. So under 2.25 goals, under at minus 117. Burnley v Leeds.
Burnley Leeds, not one to really get too excited about in terms of goals potentially here. And both had a lot of players away on international duty, 18 in total. So all of the teams had so many players away. That might play into the factor of unders as well. Let's get to Palace against Bournemouth here. Another 3 p.m. game on Saturday, local 10 a.m. Eastern. Palace are the favourites. Club record, Jack, of 19 games unbeaten came to an end last time out. It cost us, we know. Look, do we expect a bit of a dip here? That's the thing. You know, once these long unbeaten runs go, they can be a little bit. I mean, I think Bournemouth are brilliant value. They're plus 245. I'm betting Bournemouth this weekend. That's my hot dog of the weekend. Jack, you've got your 1 unit play.
I have, and I think this weekend does seem a little bit of an unders weekend. I think for more than one reason, and that international break is one of them. And I have gone under 2.5 goals in this one. At minus 124 is my 1 unit play. Yeah, possibly so. You might well see that, as you say, that unbeaten run. Sometimes you say you have one sort of negative result and then another one follows. But I don't know. I've got a lot of faith in Glasner, what he's done there. And I say the fact that the Palace run really is built around that solid back line gives me hope that they can then start another one now. So been really, really good. That was disappointing for the international break. They would have stewed on it a little bit. They had to change the bio and everything like that. But look, other than that, I think Arsenal are the only side that conceded fewer goals than Palace, and I think that's what they're going to go down that route again. But they've only scored 9 in 7, so that automatically lends itself nicely towards the unders. We talked about Bournemouth before, where you expect kind of goals galore from them. That's not necessarily been the case. It looked like it was going to be unders for them last time, didn't it? Until they kind of put the foot down in the final quarter of the game against Fulham and come out with a big and convincing win. So what you look about this game, it ended 0-0 in both fixtures last season, and that was the 9th successive meeting between these two sides where it's gone under 2.5 goals. So I am going to take that run to continue. Although the Palace unbeaten runs ended, I think this run will continue into double digits and make it a 10th successive meeting between these two sides to go under 2.5 goals. They're two closely matched teams. They're both in decent form. I think they'll both take confidence, but they'll also both respect each other. And I think when you get that kind of battle, you will get more of an unders game. I don't think it's going to be completely open-ended. Like I said, we know what Palace can be like and restrictive. And the other thing you did say, we talked about international duty. The key player at this moment in time for Bournemouth, and probably the next best to Haaland as far as a game changer and the informed player in the Premier League, is Antoine Semenyo. And he was on international duty last week. He started off with a game in Morocco. Then he had to go over to Ghana. And obviously he's come back this week. And the key thing for me as far as Palace's defence is concerned, they had Chris Richards on duty for the United States national team. But Gahey played in that friendly for England against Wales, but then had the game against Latvia off, and Lacroix wasn't called up. So their defensive setup will be pretty fresh for this to tackle that Bournemouth front line. So I think they'll cancel each other out. Under 2.5 goals, 1 unit play, minus 124.
Bournemouth, the top of the 6-match form tables, 14 points, the most in the EPL over the course of the last 6 games. I know we're only 7 games in, but it's a stat that I'm hanging my bet on here. I mean, do you see a dip, Nigel, with Palace? I mean, you're across the Palace games generally. Do you think, have they got the squad to cope? Will it be a little bit backs to the wall, as Jack saying, look, we just don't want to get beat here off the back of the run going?
No, I think they'll be pretty much copy and paste job, exactly the same. Their whole basis of the side is that defensive strength, counter-attacking ability, brute force of Mateta, creativity, skill of Wharton. I mean, that's what Palace are. They're a very good side. I mean, Adam Wharton should be here in Latvia. You know, he to me, he's one of the best players in the Premier League. I think he'll get a big move to a big club, and then he'll be playing a regular for England. He's that good.
Would he have stayed a day later, do you think, just to enjoy Latvia for another day?
I'm sure he'd join me in the karaoke bar. I'm sure anyway. But I'll tell you, the interesting thing about this, as Jack said there, the under 2.5 goals and both teams to score has been a no in the last 9 matches between these two sides, as Jack said there. Now, when you think about Crystal Palace, not this season's version of Crystal Palace, seasons before version of Crystal Palace, they were much more counter-attacking style. They were free scoring. Now in the Glads, they're very hard to beat. And the other interesting thing about Crystal Palace this season, they have not conceded a single goal in the first half of any match this season. And I like under 1.5 goals or under half a goal in the first half, whichever you want to play. But I think the half time to be a draw at plus 118 would be my lean in this match. I think this will be a very, very tight match. But I'm looking at Palace, their defensive strength, as I think we would have on the first podcast to highlight that out, how strong they were. And I think nothing changes in the way. They've lost the match. They're going to lose matches. They know they're going to lose matches. But that's their strength. That's their basis. And in these kind of matches, they'll be very difficult to break down. So for me, half-time draw, plus 118. I'd even go 0-0 draw as well at a big price. I think it's very close. Palace haven't conceded in the first half, and I don't think they conceded against Bournemouth.
Let's get a couple of quick leans on Brighton against Newcastle, shall we hear? It's almost pick, and Brighton are the favourites. Newcastle haven't won a Premier League game at the Amex. Jack, what's your lean on this one? Another 10 a.m. Saturday game.
Yeah, you can tell I found this one a tough one to call. I've gone for a tie at plus 255. Evenly matched in the table. Recent records evenly matched as well. Brighton, decent confidence, 1 defeat in their last 11 Premier League games, but they did tie 4 of those. Newcastle, 7 league games, only seen 11 goals, which is not something you'd associate with Newcastle. So on that basis, you'd expect this to be tight. All those 11 goals have come at home as well, of course. 3 0-0 ties away from home, and they're looking to equal a record, or maybe not looking to equal a record, but Notts County started the English season with 4 0-0 away games, and that was in 1935-36. So I'll leave Nigel to tell us
number
who
one
was.
Number one.
Perry Como.
I was just about to say Perry Como. I was honestly, you said the word time. I'm just about to
What
say.
can we say? It's big Perry Como, yeah. We'll take it. So look, as you said, they're yet to beat Brighton as well. So will that run continue? I don't know. I'll go with a tie. 8 of the last 14 meetings between these two sides have ended all square, including 5 of the last 7 at the Amex. So history of ties, 2 sides that are side by side in the table, level on 9 points, only a goal separated on goal difference, and with a league high 3 ties between them this season. That's what I'm going for. Plus 255 as a lean.
Yeah, just a lean from Jack, a lean from you on this one. Nigel, Newcastle are home to Benfica. Jose's in town in midweek. Tend to think Eddie Howe's going to set up, maybe not to get beat on the South Coast. Quickly on this one from you.
I don't think he's going to get beat, and we've had favourites on this show over the last few years. People we lean to at sort of plus 130, plus 125, that kind of region. Ollie Watkins springs to mind. Nick Waltermard is going to be one for me. I think he's going to be he's a player that I believe at this moment in time is being priced up a little bit too big to what he is. He's going to be their main focus. Scored in midweek as well for Germany. A player that is full of confidence. Plus 130 to score any time. Was very close to being my 1U pick, but I think I will be betting that at plus 130. Low scoring game. Waltermard, the German, to get on the score sheet again. A lot of top strikers take a bit of time to get used to the Premier League. Not this guy. He's come in there. He's thriving in the situation. The centre forward at Newcastle always comes with a bit of pressure. He's dealing with it. On the pens as well. Plus 130. Waltermard to score anytime.
Yeah, that's decent price, isn't it? He's plus 330 for first, incidentally. If you think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Let's get to City against Everton, because this is another 10 a.m. Game. City minus 275. Everton a 7-1 to win this game. Since David Moyes returned to Everton January the 11th this calendar year, the Merseyside have amassed 42 points. City 50 points. Not that much between the two. Should Everton have a bit more respect in this one? Jack, what's your lean in the City-Everton game?
Possibly, but I'm going with City to win to 0 at plus 115. I've bet it, and it was, again, close to being an official play. The only thing that stopped that was the fact that Rodri will be out, and that does impact my thinking on City. But they did prove last time out that they can cope without him. Obviously, they had a lot of opportunity to test that theory last season with him missing all of it. That 1-0 against Brentford seemed a little bit more of an old school Pep Man City control performance. Took the lead and then controlled the game out. They only allowed 6 shots. Rodri went off, I think, after 22 minutes with his hamstring injury in that one. And they only allowed 6 shots, only one on target, an XG of 0.7. And that's obviously at Brentford at home, Brentford being at home. So Everton at the Etihad, I think they've got a very good record against them. They're putting a little bit of a run together, a little bit under the radar. City, 7 games without a defeat in all competitions. You look at 7 wins in the last 8 in the Premier League at home, 3 goal margin victories or better in the last 2 of those as well. And so are they kind of getting a little bit back to the old school? Maybe. And I think the key element for Everton is there's no Jack Grealish, of course, because he can't play against his parent club. Yeah, the creativity there is a massive blow. Yes, Dewsbury Hall's back, but Ndiaye was in Africa, Senegal, playing for them. So those elements where you rely on certain players, I think will come a little bit about it. And of course, Erling Haaland just keeps scoring another hat-trick in midweek. And you wouldn't be surprised to see him get on board again. His expected non-penalty expected goals is 7.71. The next best is Mateta with 3.29. That shows you they are feeding him this season incredibly well. And he's obviously the kind of guy that will take the chances. Moyes has a terrible record against Manchester City. Everton have a bad record against Manchester City as well. And I saw a stat this week, which I'll end on, which is an incredible one for David Moyes, who's been around the block, been at those different clubs. His record for Everton away at sides that finished in the top 3 the previous season, he's not won any of his last 36 attempts at that, which is an incredible record given his experience and the sides that he's been playing against. So there we go. I'm going to say Man City. So you look at the price they are to win this, add the to nil on this, and you get a nice plus money play, plus 115.
It's incredible, isn't it, as well, as Jack was pointing out, Nigel, that suddenly, City have gone a bit defensively. And last season before, we kept going, well, if City got to win, it's both teams to score, yes. Now suddenly it's City to 0 and both teams to score. No, there has been a bit of a change, hasn't there? And bettors have got to move with the times. What's your brief thoughts on this one?
Well, there's no change in the way they've got the best striker in the world. I mean, he's unbelievable. And he's probably playing last season, the season before. We couldn't get any better, but he's getting better and better. Yeah. Man City are minus 278 to win this match, which we all think are going to win. They've won 14 of their last 16 matches against Everton. They're a team that I think at this moment in time they are probably a bet to win the Premier League title at the price that they are, around about 3-1 with Bet Rivers. Haaland has scored 21 goals in his last 12 matches. 21 goals in the last 12 matches. And against Everton, he scored 4 in 4 appearances. And he's still minus 150 to score any time. Now, we talk about value bets, and obviously we're sitting here, and we try to make a bet a little bit more enticing with the price. Now, anybody who is betting him as a 66% chance no, it's not a 60% chance to score in this match. When you look at his statistics, 21 goals in 12, 4 in 4. I mean, he's breaking records. It brings the 2 goals in. It means the 3 goals in. The guy's on fire. The only way I think if with Haaland is that we worry sometimes whether Pep rests him. Yeah. They've obviously got the Champions League to play. They might be arrested. Yeah. But if he features in this game, and Bet Rivers are still minus 150, Haaland to score, you've just got to bet him. It's just, it is the best strategy. We're talking about strategies in betting. Betting Haaland at these kind of prices, your cash. So minus 150 Haaland, 2 or more as well, bringing that in the equation, and just throw the hat-trick in as well, ladder it up, because he's on fire.
Yeah, he's plus 300 to score at least 2, at least 3, plus 1050, at least 4, 45.
Hang on a minute.
Rein it in. Let's get to the Premier League leaders and favourites, which is Fulham. Okay, it's not Fulham. Fulham against
What's happened?
Fulham against Arsenal. What's happened to Fulham? Fulham against Arsenal. Arsenal are minus 177 here to win the game. They're minus 112 for the title. Jack, they could be second or maybe even third when they kick off. This is 12:30 on Saturday. They've got Atleti in the Champions League in midweek. You've got a lean on this one for us. What is it?
Yeah, tricky little fixture. I felt Arsenal will win it. I think they're in a good position right now. They've got good strength throughout the side. I think this could be the sort of game that Gorkres, we've talked about him, will go quiet for a few games, but this is the sort of game I think he's got a chance of getting on the score sheet. And they've got plenty around that as well. And obviously with that defence, generally speaking, a 1 goal, 2 goals is enough for them to go and win the game. Can't be backing them at the price. You say they're strong favourites for this. So I've gone in a little bit off piste here. I've gone with a bet that I don't really normally play, but I think at the odds and the stats to back up, I've gone with a tie at half-time, Arsenal to win and at full-time at plus 340. So it's a big price. Take the chance on a slow start following from the international break, but they will get the job done. Fulham, a couple of poor results. They slipped down the table. Obviously, a couple of 3-1 defeats, but unbeaten at home. Won the last 2, Brentford and Leeds as well. But obviously, that's nowhere near the competition that Arsenal bring to the table. And say Arsenal are top of the table. Only 1 defeat in their last 17 on the road. That came at Liverpool. So, again, no shame in that and a really strong body of work. And they've also won 9 of the last 13 meetings with Fulham. So I do expect them to get the job done. Fulham have gone in at half-time, all square in 5 of their 7 league games. And Arsenal have only scored 1 first-half goal on the road. And that was in that kind of a little bit of a smash and grab against Manchester United. So I'm going to take a chance on big odds here. Half-time tie, full-time Arsenal.
Nigel, you got one you play here. You're weighing with Arsenal. They're not going to feel the pressure of being top and then maybe deposed by kickoff. What's the one you?
Well, this is it. I mean, if Arsenal are going to win the Premier League title, these are the matches they've got to win. And Fulham have been a good match for Arsenal over the years. I know the last season they drew 1-1, but if you go back through the last 14 matches against Fulham, Arsenal have only lost 1 of these matches, and they've won a lot of them as well. Previous to that 1-1 draw, they won there and had professional wins, 3-0 a couple of times, 1-0 a couple of times. I was at this match once week. Per Mertesacker scored in a 1-0 win for Arsenal. I think Arsenal, defensively, we know they're strong. Gyökeres is a flat-track bully. He's a player that I think will like it. And the other reason I like Arsenal here in this match is because the manager at Fulham, Silva, is being linked heavily with Nottingham Forest. We know, we've spoken about him before, that he's a manager that probably wants away from Fulham for various reasons. I don't know why, but it's been pretty clear he wants to move to Saudi. He's working in a relationship with the owner at Fulham before when he managed his club over in Greece. And he's been very, very heavily linked with that job. He wants to leave Fulham. I don't know whether that's an upgrade or not, but I think that will distract him in this kind of match. I like Arsenal here. I think if you win the Premier League title, you've got to go to Fulham. It's not the most daunting kind of place, and I think that Arsenal will come here. I know Fulham have got a good record at home. You've got Smith Rowe, obviously an Arsenal connection here, but Arsenal are too good. Arsenal -1 is my bet here. 1 unit bet at -103. They cover that. If they win by just 1 goal, if they win the match, we get a push. But I think Arsenal, defensively strong, they can go on. And I think the Fulham, at this moment in time, with the link for Silva to a new job, could be a team to fade.
Quick leans from you. Spurs against Villa, 9 a.m. Sunday. Jack, what you got in this one? Spurs are favourites, +105.
Yeah, over 2.5 goals, -132 for me. Yeah, Spurs flying up in 3rd place. They bounced back for those couple of disappointing performances, didn't they? But 14 points from 7 games. You can't argue with that. Great start for Thomas Frank. Hit the ground running there. Only 2 points off Arsenal in top. So yeah, they're in very, very good shape indeed. 13 goals scored was the thing that caught my eye. Really, only Arsenal and Man City scored more than that. And I just think that Villa are starting to click after that poor start. We talked about him. Was it going to be he's got the end of the road for Unai Emery, or is he going to turn it around? I think he has turned it around. They've won 4 successive games across all competitions, but they do allow plenty of chances. So I think this could be a game. Obviously, I've backed it over 2.5 goals. Again, another one that was close. I'll be backing it myself, but close to an official play. The reason I just fell short on it, making it official, is the doubt over Ollie Watkins. I think he will start this one, but I think it's crucial for him to do that in for the bet as well. So for the last 5 Spurs games in all competitions, cashed over 2.5 goals. Villa scored 2 or more in their last 3, with 2 of those games cashing over 2.5. So that's what I landed on.
Villa have won the last 4 in all comps. I'm betting Villa this weekend. Nigel, you joining me? You tailing me?
I like Villa. I like Villa on the handicap. Villa are obviously a side that at the beginning of the season we thought was struggling. Emery's too good a manager. They're too good a team. Watkins is a blow. If Watkins plays, I'm going to bet them even more. We said on this show and on the Premier League show on Betting Weekly Saturday Live when we were doing that show, there was a huge negative towards Tottenham in their matches this season. Been a massive negative for him. Villa have got to win this match because their next two fixtures in the Premier League are Liverpool and Manchester City. And they also have a couple of massive Europa League matches as well. So this is a must get something from them. I need them because I'm long on their points this season. I think they get something. I'll bet them on the money line, actually, to be honest with you. I want to fade Tottenham. Tottenham obviously in Champions League action as well. Big match for them in midweek. I'm going to go with Villa here on the Asian handicap. +0.5.
Biggest price that Villa have been all season, incidentally, at Spurs. It's a bit of an odd one, given the fact that they've been losing games.
You've just got one stat. I've got one stat on this match. In their last 23 matches between these two sides, there hasn't been a draw. Interesting.
Liverpool,
not
Man
really
United.
Interesting. Not really that interesting by your reaction, but there you go.
Well, I don't know. Does that mean we are going to get a draw? I don't know.
Well, what do you think?
I'm betting Villa all day long. I'm betting Villa. Liverpool, Man United is the big game, but you know what? As we found out to our cost, fellas, over the last few years, these games are impossible to predict. I'm sitting this one out. We've only got leans in it from the boys here. I know it's the big game, but Jack, what do you think, Liverpool? I mean, Liverpool -177. They were -$3 for this game last season. What do you think?
Can I just say something before we go to Jack? I mean, you saying this is the big game.
Well, it's a big game on the telly in the UK, isn't it?
4:30. Man United v Liverpool isn't the big game of the weekend this weekend. Fulham v Arsenal, I would argue, is a bigger game. Just because of tradition and history, I don't think Man United. And that's I'm just saying that how much Man United have fallen. No, I'm not. Liverpool are obviously in a bit of a slumber.
Listen, the TV people are still picking it for the big game.
Well, they're in the wrong job. Burnley Leeds are the big
game. Jack, Liverpool were -$3 for this last season. The -170. Should we just lump on Liverpool? I don't know. I've got this wrong year after year. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. I think that's the figure that what are we going to get? It's hard to tell, very hard to tell. And I wouldn't be backing Liverpool in that current state at -177, but I am backing them to win and add, and both seem to score into the mix because that makes it 1 + 155. Now that looks a lot more appealing to me. That's the way I've gone about it. So I couldn't be taking them at -177. I didn't really want to take them on the -1 Asian handicap. Could I back Man United on the +1 Asian handicap? No, you look at the underlying data and all the metrics, you'd say, Man United are creating chances, their expected points should be a lot higher than they are, but you also look at their expected goals against, and they're right down the bottom, or at the top of that, as far as how many goals they should be conceding. True. So, and also they threw in those terrible performances against Manchester City where they lost 3-0, they lost 3-1 at Brentford as well, and you think, well, what are you going to get? And Liverpool on that day, we know that we're waiting for him to click. Will it be this game? We know what Salah's record is like against them. He's been a bit off at the start of the season. This is just the sort of game you think round the corner that he then comes and finds his form and scores a few goals. So, no clean sheet in 6 for Liverpool. That's the angle I'm going in at. I think Man United can score in this one. Liverpool have only kept 2 clean sheets in 11 games across all competitions. But I think they get it. This could be a bit of a crazy one. Again, got a feeling of a 3-2 maybe, something like that, where it just goes a bit end to ends, and so Liverpool can get the better of it just. But Liverpool win, both teams to score, +155, my lean.
Nigel, what you got for the big game for the weekend?
I told you, under 2.5 goals. Leeds, Burnley.
What you got for this complete aside that no one's going to watch?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think Liverpool are gettable, and they've got to go to Eintracht Frankfurt in midweek, and we know that could be 5-5. We know defensively how bad Liverpool are. I think when you've got a team like Liverpool who concede so many goals, who give up so many chances, when you can bet a team +1 goal, you've got half a chance because you know you're going to score against them. And I think Amorim, it's a kind of match that he's got nothing to worry about. He's got his team back. There's not many international players. I'll tell you a story. I was actually at, obviously, the Latvia game, and I was very lucky. I was sitting with the players' wives and family. And a lady next to me, she said to me, my son plays... Yeah, I was, yeah. She says to me, the lady next to me said to me, her son played for Manchester United. But she didn't tell me who he was. And I don't think there was anybody in the England team from Manchester United. I don't know who played for Manchester United. But that just shows you, isn't it? When the international break was on back in the day, half of the team were made up by Man United players. Man United don't have any international players. Liverpool, everyone's gone all around the world. They've got that kind of that pressure. They've got a Champions League game to play. Big match here. Man United are probably a lot more fresher, which is unheard of. And I think +1 goal, when you concede that many goals, I think plus 1 goal. Man United here is a bet for me. So my lean would be Man United plus 1.
Finally, Monday night football. West Ham against Brentford, a London derby here.
Another
West
bigger
Ham
game.
home
Another bigger game.
Another bigger game. First game with Nuno in charge. I mean, this is going to set the tone for Nuno because we know what West Ham fans are like. Jack, you got your hot dog here.
Yeah, I'm going to put my faith in Nuno here, and I'm taking West Ham -1 Asian handicap as my hot dog at plus 270. I thought they were solid against Everton. Obviously, his first game in charge. Not great first half, but the second half they stepped up, and I think they actually deserved to win that game. Obviously, Nigel was there with a few of the other lads as well, and kind of reported back much that with the eye test. And look, that they made no attempt in their next game, which was Arsenal away. You could see he was just look to hang on for a 0-0. Didn't do it, but look, no disgrace as far as the scoreline was concerned. I think it was damage limitation from him from the get-go there, a 2-0 defeat. As you said, first home game at the London Stadium, looking to end a winless run of 8 games. And we know what we're going to get from Nuno. It is going to be that defensive process. It's already looked better. 2 weeks now on the grass there, looking to try and improve that defensive process. You only know which way it's going to go. Expect offensive, expect disciplined, but expect effective. And I think they will beat this Brentford side, who I'm still happy to fade. They are down towards the bottom of the table. They've kind of glossed over it by winning the odd game here and there, a little bit of a cup run as well. And I think Nuno will say, look, let's get this defensive process right. They have got the threats going forward. Jared Bowen, we know all about, popping up, scoring goals still, super consistent for West Ham, a real threat on his better position out on the right-hand side now. The focal point of Fulkrug through the middle, that kind of Michael Antonio kind of style figure that is that battering ram, the guy that they can ping the ball into. And we know what Nuno likes. He likes that. Chris Wood he had there. So is he going to get a similar performance from Fulkrug that he got out of Chris Wood? They've got Paquetá in behind him. We know he can pull the strings, play some nice balls through. And the one shining light for West Ham so far this season, out on the left-hand side, Diouf, who's been incredible. Up and down that left-hand side. Such a great engine, but what a wicked delivery he's got in from the left-hand side. And I think he can cause Brentford lots and lots of problems. So I think you'll say to those guys, right, you're the guys, you're the threat. We'll keep solid. We'll keep it tight. And I think they will win this. And I'm taking a chance that obviously on the -1 Asian handicap, a 2 goal margin gets us the hot dog landed at plus 270. And if they only win by a single goal, we do get a full refund on it. But Brentford conceded the most goals in the Premier League with 12. Their expected goals against is in the bottom 6 as well. They've lost all 3 of those Premier League away games so far. 3-1 at Fulham, so this bet would fully cash. 2-1 at Sunderland, newly promoted side, so a refund on the stake. And the key one for me, 3-1 on that opening day of the season against Nottingham Forest, where they were woeful. Forest blew them away in the opening half. And, of course, who was in charge of Forest that day? Their best result of the season, it was Nuno. And I like going where there's a manager who's already got a very recent track record on knowing how to get the best and beat a side convincingly. And that is Nuno. And I think he'll turn this West Ham boat around. And that starts here with his first home game, getting 3 points. And on the minus Asian handicap, my hot dog at plus 270.
You're on the West Ham train as well, I think, Nigel, for this one?
Yeah, I was very, very tempted to put West Ham in as a bet, but I don't like putting on bets on the Monday. You know, I wait to see how we go over the weekend before we get involved. But if we have a good Saturday and Sunday, I'll be going all in on West Ham here at plus 140. The only worry about this match for me is that there's very documented a lot of boycotts. There's going to be a lot of demonstrations from the West Ham fans about the owners and the way the club is being run. And that is not the kind of thing you want if you're a new manager in your first home game. That worries me. If we didn't have that, I think the plus 140 is a decent bet. And I think that's a little bit factored in. The other thing about Nuno as well, Jack has just said everything that I was going to say about his record against Brentford earlier in the season, the way he sets his team up. West Ham will be well organised. They're going to be very, very properly done compared to the Potter side that we saw. The other thing about Nuno is that his record in his opening matches for teams when he's taken a job is very, very good. I mean, at Tottenham, he was manager of the month in August. He was sacked in September. I mean, it's incredible how he gets teams organised very, very quickly. This West Ham side will, I think, at plus 140 are a bet on the money line, and they would definitely be challenging for my bets of the week this week. But my only worry is the obviously the boycotts and obviously the demonstration by the West Ham side. And we know, I mean, Jack, Dan, you would have commentated on West Ham matches over the years. it can be a very toxic
yeah.
place if things go wrong. And that is a worry for me. If they were all behind him, all behind the owners, manager, plus 140 is an absolute knocking bet. But in that, factor that in, it's a slight concern.
Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all. We will keep everyone updated with our XFees. That's the wrap for Betting Weekly Premier League show, Matchday 8. Get your thoughts, picks in the comments section on YouTube. You can join us, of course, with our live show, 11 a.m. every single midweek day. Make sure you follow us at Because We Win and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll be back next week. From all of us, for now, though, it's goodbye.